Hey guys, this is Gotta Love Breath, and unfortunately, in this episode of Ask Dr. Breath, I'm only going to be answering one question because Brett, OneTBret, who was previously JB Game Review, sent me a question that would require a lot to answer to the full extent that I hope to answer every question I get on this show. So, this particular question, he asked, what would be your setup for an anime adaptation movie? What anime, directors, actors, types of effects, and what would be the basic premise? Well, the thing with doing an anime adaptation here in the United States is first, you really have to prove to people that it isn't going to suck. Anime, regardless of which way you look at it, is not a mainstream sell to a lot of people right now. So let's look at something in terms of story, but also something where you can pull off a lot of really awesome action sequences to draw a lot of those, the non-otakus into the theater. One thing that I've noticed recently, which is actually really clever, I've got to admit, I didn't personally like it, it made a lot of sense for them to do so, was how Paramount Pictures advertised the most recent Star Trek film. That is to say, they didn't advertise it as a Star Trek movie, but rather they advertised it as a summer action blockbuster. Well, this really pissed me off the first time I saw the TV spots. I kind of understand why they did it now. They wanted to draw in a young teenage crowd that would have, they don't have any relation with Star Trek. They wouldn't ordinarily have anything to do with Star Trek. It's a business after all, and it doesn't necessarily matter whether the television commercials represent the actual film. It just matters that those advertisements and those TV spots will draw casual viewers into the theater. You know what anime I would honestly love to see adapted would quite honestly be Neon Genesis Evangelion. In my opinion, that would make a great film series. Mind you, there would be a great deal of tweaking on the part of the directors, but I think it's a sort of story that could work, even if Americanized. If it's given to the right director and the right writers, it could be mind-blowing. It could be kind of like the Dark Knight for anime films. What makes Evangelion work is that the characters and the unfolding complexity of the story and mythology is, which I personally think it would just translate well on film if done in a trilogy format. It would have to be 3 films. No more, no less. 3 films. 3 films is absolutely perfect. If it's any more or any less than that, I would kind of cringe. But if it's 3 films in the trilogy format, I think, it could be really amazing. As far as directors is concerned, I would honestly go with J.J. Abrams. The man is just a straight-out genius. And more importantly, he knows nerdy. He makes nerdy cool with Lost. He made monster movies fun again with Cloverfield. And yes, I like Cloverfield. I thought it was awesome. And more importantly, he had made Star Trek relevant again. And, of course, Star Trek, if you want to know my opinion on that, you go to my channel and watch my horrible little review I had for it. If he were to get his hands on Evangelion, if they were to tell him to direct all 3 films, I would be insanely happy if J.J. Abrams were to direct Neon Genesis Evangelion. For one thing, Abrams, as I've stated before, knows how to turn something geeky and make it into a crowd pleaser. If he were to get the right script, I would have great faith that he would nail Neon Genesis Evangelion. What's also great about Eva is that, unlike Star Trek, the action sequences are already there. It's a sort of story that fits Abrams, too. If any of you have watched Lost for more than about 2 episodes, you've got to admit there's a lot of Neon Genesis Evangelion-like moments in that show. Abrams is perfect for it. Now, actors, and that's where things are going to get a little more difficult. It's hard to cast really young kids. But if you were to take my approach, I would make the kids more around the ages of 16 or 17. So if you were to go for that particular sort of age range, it would be a little easier, but still, honestly, who are you going to get to play Rey? It's impossible. So, let's just make Megan Fox be Rey. Just for the pure eye candy. That'd be, oh my God. And I don't really mean that, but it's just the thought of Megan Fox and a Rey Ayanami cosplays. Ooh, that's making me really excited right now. But just the thought of Rey running around in Megan Fox style shorts and the cut up shirt is just, oh, okay, moving on. I would say that the perfect choice for Gendo would be Hugo Weaving. Now, I stole that particular choice from a fan trailer, so you'll have to kind of forgive me for that one. If you give her another couple of years, I would say Dakota Fanning would be really, really spot on as the role of Asuka. Just, give her a new hairstyle, maybe doll her up a little bit more, and she would be absolutely perfect. Now, mind you, I care more about how the actors would actually work within these roles rather than how they resemble the characters. It's more important that a performer embody the spirit of a part rather than actually look the part, if you want my opinion. Shinji is tough because I can't really think of any young actors who would really be able to nail that performance. Shinji is a whiner. He's helpless. He's needy. He's occasionally heroic. He's also occasionally self-sacrificing. There's just so many different layers to that character that it becomes nearly impossible to think of any teenaged or young adult actor who could really pull it off. Same goes for Rei Ayanami. I can think of very few actresses just in general who would be able to play that role with any sort of dignity or any sort of class. It's a hard thing to be extremely subtle without having it feel forced. Rei and Shinji are really complex characters, but more importantly, they're almost like kindred spirits. You have to find two actors that work really well together. Otherwise, it just won't fly. It won't be believable. So for Shinji and Rei, I would say cast some really, really talented no-name actors. I can't think of anyone at the moment. So let's go with Christian Bale as Shinji and Megan Fox as Rei. That sounds like a delightfully horrible combination. Let's move on to the types of effects. Since I'm sure no one would care about my choices for Masato or any of the other characters, we're kind of going to skip ahead. But let me be blunt. I would be the last person to go to as far as casting is concerned for a movie like that. But I do believe that Johnny Depp should play Kaji. He would be a great Kaji. You see, with Neon Genesis Evangelion, as far as the effects are concerned, I can see J.J. Abrams going for the same exact sort of style they used in this most recent Star Trek film. Big CGI robots, some sort of delightfully wicked shaky cam shots, some really practical shots in the city of some sort. The thing is, you've got to have it be somewhat believable, and yet also have that fantasy sort of flair. As far as giant robots is concerned, while I hated the film, Transformers did a fantastic job as far as the CGI was concerned. Though the thing is, the robots in Evangelion need to feel a bit more militaristic. What I liked about the series was that the robots, they didn't really jump around and do a ton of super amazing, whoa, that's awesome kind of stuff all the time. Most of the time, they just run, shoot, take cover, jump every once and again, among other things. However, they didn't move like robots. They had a fluency and a grace to them because, okay, some of you may not know, but me telling you would be a spoiler. Overall, my biggest suggestion with the effects would just keep it very detailed and very cool. Not too hokey, not too fake, but knowing Abrams, that probably wouldn't be the case. He's really, really good with visual effects. My big thing with Neon Genesis Evangelion is that as a fan, I really wouldn't mind seeing an American version of this particular story. Just as long as the essence of Evangelion is kept intact and the story keeps the same overtones and themes of the original anime, I think I'd be insanely happy. However, the last film of the trilogy, which would be J.J. Abrams' End of Evangelion, my biggest suggestion would be not to mess with the first half, but completely pretend like the second half of the original film, End of Evangelion, didn't even exist. Follow the story loosely throughout the first half, and then when it comes to the second half, just completely rewrite the whole thing. Honestly, if anything needs a traditional Hollywood happy ending, it's Neon Genesis Evangelion. After all the heartbreak and all the trial these characters go through, there should be more of a payoff at the end. With everything that makes Evangelion so depressing, there's no reason that the ending shouldn't be, at least bittersweet. At least. Honestly, if they were to handle the ending the same way Peter Jackson handled the final film in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I would say that the films may even have a good chance on improving on the aspects of the original anime. It's just a pipe dream, but I really feel a set of Evangelion films, I feel that they could be amazing if done correctly, especially if in the hands of someone as amazingly super awesome as J.J. Abrams. Or if Haruhi actually existed, I would have her direct the films because Haruhi is a super fantastic director.